The hum started low, barely a vibration in the floorboards of Elias's apartment. He was a man obsessed with patterns, an archivist by trade, ironically dedicating his life to cataloging things that were already finished. But this sound was new. It wasn't electrical. It wasn't the city traffic filtering up from the street below. It was organic, yet mechanical. A soft, insistent thrumming that seemed to originate from inside his own skull. Elias tried to ignore it. He turned up the vintage jazz on his turntable. The saxophone wailed, but the hum cut through it, a persistent off-key bass note to his otherwise orderly life. He checked the pipes, cold. He checked the refrigerator, silent. The sound was localized, personal. It was in the room. For 3 days, the hum persisted. Elias grew pale. Sleep became a luxury he couldn't afford, not when the sound was loudest in the deep silence of 3 a.m. He started sketching the sound waves, trying to impose logic onto the auditory intrusion. The patterns were complex, almost fractal. On the 4th night, Elias decided he couldn't live with the unknown anymore. He took a small recording device, the kind used for capturing faint wildlife, and set it on his bedside table, pointed toward the center of his room. He lay back, closed his eyes, and focused only on the thrumming. It felt like his very molecules were being subtly rearranged. When he woke the next morning, the room was silent, completely, utterly silent. A profound, blissful quiet he hadn't experienced in nearly a week. Relief washed over him, so intense it almost hurt. He reached for the recorder, expecting to hear garbled static or perhaps the confirmation of his madness. He pressed play. The recording was pristine, crystal clear. It wasn't static, it wasn't a hum, it was a voice. But it wasn't speaking words he recognized. It was a rapid sequence of clicks and whistles, a language built entirely of high-frequency data transfer. It sounded like a modem trying to connect to something impossibly far away. Elias listened again, focusing on the rhythm. He realized the pattern wasn't random noise. It was structured. It was communication. He spent the next 12 hours transcribing the sequence onto paper, mapping the clicks and whistles onto a numerical grid. By sundown, he had something resembling a message, something he could almost parse. He found a program online, a relic from the early days of computing, designed to translate complex binary patterns. He fed his transcription into the obsolete software, his heart hammering against his ribs. The screen flickered, displaying the result in plain English. Elias leaned in, reading the single terrifying sentence that materialized on the screen. "Thank you for running the diagnostic loop. Your internal calibration is now complete." He looked around his apartment. The silence was still perfect, too perfect. He raised his hand to touch his forehead, feeling the strange, almost imperceptible warmth there. He was no longer hearing the sound. He was the sound. The pattern had finished establishing itself. It wasn't in the room. It had been in him, waiting for the external noise to cease so it could finally execute its primary directive. The hum wasn't external interference. It was the upload. The mind glitch had finally integrated. The world outside the window suddenly looked sharper, the colors too vibrant. The air tasted metallic. Elias stood up, but his movements felt oddly smooth, perfectly efficient. He knew exactly where every object in the room was positioned, not by sight, but by internal mapping. He walked to the window, no longer an archivist cataloging the past, but a fresh installation ready for the future. The silence persisted, but now it was a powerful, humming silence. His own. The parameters of reality are fragile things, defined only by what we perceive. If you felt a flicker of familiarity in that strange calibration, transcript trimmed for length.